2, 1. What's going on, everybody? Jacob, Donovan, Miami Dolphins Syndicate. Welcome back to the live stream. Today, only a solid 7 minutes late. We should do betting odds every single time. How on
Oh
time are
my
we actually
God.
going to be live? What would a solid number be for that? What would you set the betting line as?
So I would say the average time would be like 7:03, right?
No, that's generous. That is way too generous. I think if you look at our averages, our average starting time would probably be like 7:11. That's the number I'm gonna go with.
So we were on time except for that one that we were on time, what was it, last week when
But even then, we
my
were still.
power went out, or was that 2 weeks ago?
No, that was last week when the power ran out. But even last week, we started at like 7:03. So that's where you got that number from. Was from last week. We started 3 minutes
Oh,
late. But
jeez.
usually it's like 5, 8, sometimes 20. Because there's been at least twice we started purposely at 7:15, and then there's been times we accidentally start at 7:15 or 8
Yeah.
o'clock, or not 8
Well,
o'clock, or 7:20.
one of the times that we were like late was because the computer had just been updated. You just got off work, so you couldn't redo everything for the stream. So that was understandable. Today
Professionals.
though, we were ready
Yeah,
to go at like
yeah.
6:58, and we just didn't start.
Professionals. And the professionals are going to be talking today about, obviously, Jonathan Taylor. That is the biggest thing in the news right now across the NFL landscape. And especially for the Miami Dolphins, as it has come out, the Miami Dolphins are one of the teams that have already reached out to the Indianapolis Colts for Jonathan Taylor. Talk a little bit of Tua, some salty Tua. We recorded the video earlier today. If you haven't watched it already, after this is done, go ahead and take a look. But we'll be talking about it a little bit. Jacksonville Jaguars preview, a little bit of that, and I guess probably a little bit of an injury update somewhere along the lines. But like I said, we're going to start with Jonathan Taylor, and the Indianapolis Colts announced that he's going to be available for trade. He can go out and seek trade partners, so he's allowed to make contact with other teams, and other teams are now starting to send in some trade requests or some trade opportunities for the Indianapolis Colts. One of those being the Miami Dolphins, and we've seen the Miami Dolphins target guys like Dalvin Cook earlier in the offseason. That obviously didn't unfold, but with two running backs coming into the division, the Dolphins have an opportunity to make it a third with Jonathan Taylor. So just simply put, to start off this conversation, how intrigued are you at the possibility of the Dolphins getting Jonathan Taylor? How much do you think it's
Bro.
necessary? And then how happy would you be if it then were to happen, all things considered?
All right, so if we're talking about necessary, we talked about adding a running back this entire time,
Yeah.
but after finally seeing at least our backups play at offensive line and get our Mostert and A Chain going at the same time with Savon Ahmed, I feel like I said it. It's like a little bit of a hot take. We don't really need to run the ball up the middle because no one's beating us to the outside. No one's beating us to the corners. Every single time that we rush to the edge, we're gaining 3, 4, 5 yards. Like, it's just a given. Whereas, we run up the middle, it's like 2, maybe 3, and then occasionally
Yeah.
we'll, if that. Yes, I'm being generous on that part.
Yeah, you are.
But but regardless of that fact, no one's beating us to the edge. So I was like, okay, you know, not really. Uh, it's a hot take because we don't really need to run up the middle if we can just run to the outside all the
I
time.
don't. I would. I
Especially
don't
with
think
our
that's true. I don't think you don't need to run up the middle. And Jonathan Taylor is definitely somebody
I
who
well, I'm
specializes in that. But I don't. I wouldn't think it's fair to say. Well, you talk too long, so I'm going to jump in. I
no,
think it's unfair to say that you don't need to run up the middle.
you didn't let me finish
Too
because
bad.
what running to the outside does is when they end up overestimating or overcompensating to the outside, then that's when the middle opens up, so on and so forth. Even in the passing game, you pass it downfield and they have to play back, then it opens up the underneath stuff. It's a very similar thing. People will normally try to run to the middle to open up to the outsides. We can run to the outsides to open up the middle.
Yeah, there's a lot in this offense that is, in theory, backwards. So it's starting with we usually use the passing game to open up the rushing attack, and then beyond that, using within the rushing attack itself, using the outside ground game to open up the middle. I definitely understand that there is an aspect to that, but I don't know if I trust the offensive. No, it's not necessarily a thought process when it comes to the running backs. Like I know the running backs have the ability to take advantage of space and once they get outside the tackles to do some damage, but you still do need your offensive linemen to participate in that attack and be able to like swinging guards, guys to get out from the outside. I mean, look at what we've seen like Trent Williams with the 49ers, like full speed from his left tackle position and just bulldozing a guy on an outside run attempt. That's not happening in the Dolphins offense. It is possible. It can be done. The outside ground game can be done, but the idea of getting Jonathan Taylor is just so tasty and so sexy. Just even if it is like for a short-term basis, even if it's like, okay, bring him to the team, we'll see what happens after the season's over. Having him on that offense, oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
Absolutely, and that brings me to, okay, how much would I just absolutely love him on the team, bro? You know that South Park video with the white on the screens?
What's on the screen, Donovan?
The white on the screens.
The white. Could you be more?
The white.
Can you elaborate a little more?
I'm not being more specific on this channel. Anyways, yeah, that would basically just like blow everybody's mind and other stuff. And bro, this offense would be absolutely elite because I've been begging for a pass catching running back. He can pass catch with the best of them. He can.
That's not what he thrives at. He definitely can, but
what he thrives at.
He's not a pass catching back.
If we want to talk about fit in this offense, though, I do have questions of his fit because certain running backs, you want the quarterback to be underneath center, kind of like Derrick Henry. Tannehill's under center all the time. And you saw, I would say, you remember, what was his name? He went to the Cowboys, then went to the Eagles, then went to the Titans.
DeMarco Murray?
Sucked on the Eagles, was good on the... DeMarco Murray, yes. I'm sorry for forgetting your name, buddy.
Got the order mixed up a little bit, I think, but yeah, I got you.
No, he went to the Eagles after the Cowboys. But,
pretty sure he went to the Titans first.
Nope, he went to the Eagles first.
Looking it up because I'm stubborn. Looking it up because I'm stubborn.
Yeah, I remember specifically because I remember watching in the Cowboys offense, Romo was under center, handed it off to Murray, and he ran like a workhorse. And then
I'm not arguing with, that's for sure.
And then he went to the Eagles, and they ran a lot of shotgun formations, and he couldn't get his legs going in shotgun like he could under center.
I plead the fifth as to whether you're correct.
Exactly, I am correct.
He was there for like 10 minutes. He had 702 yards in the one season that he was there. His best two seasons were with the Cowboys and then the Titans. But I get what you're saying.
Well, that's because of what I'm saying is they ran a lot of shotgun in Philly, and then he went back to the Titans when they ran a lot of under center stuff, and it kind of, he was there when Henry got drafted, so they kind of had a smooth transition over to Henry.
Yeah.
Very smooth, actually. But my point being is Taylor, that kind of running back that needs that head of steam, or is he a guy that can split out wide and just be in a shotgun formation and still get the legs churning and still be able to hit that hole, as hard as he does with a under center?
He definitely can. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he's a very talented running back, and he has the ability to do that if asked. But when you're comparing running backs, he is more similar to a Derrick Henry, whereas he is just a pure runner of the ball. He's got great straight line speed. He's really good with it in between the tackles. I mean, won the rushing crown his rookie season. Like, what more do you need to really prove beyond that point? And then we've seen the Colts offensive line deteriorate last year, and that negatively affected him. So there's also a conversation to be had. Comes over to this Miami Dolphins offensive line, and is he going to have some of the same worries where he's just kind of a straight line runner, runs between the tackles? What's going to happen when those gaps don't open up for the offensive line? And then you got to talk about that the asking price. So they want the equivalent of a first round pick. So obviously a first round pick or a second and a sixth, a third and a player, a third and a fourth, whatever in their mind deems a first round pick. So whether it's a first round pick or that value, you're giving up that, and then you're giving. I don't think he comes like who was that? I don't remember if it was. I think it was Nick Wright's show that I was listening to yesterday. That he's asking to get paid right now in Indianapolis because what he's done for them. I don't think he'd command that as strongly coming into a new organization where he hasn't played a snap of football. I'm sure he's still going to want to get paid regardless, but if he comes over to a team, I can see him being more willing to be like, okay, I'll put the work in, I'll show you that I'm worth the money, and then when we get to the end of the season, we'll talk about cheddar. We'll talk about actually getting paid. And that hypothetical, where all offseason I've been preaching, hey, figure out next year when next year comes, this season is this season, I'd kind of be arguing against myself if I were to say I wouldn't want us to pursue Jonathan Taylor for that reason.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And with when you're sending over that kind of capital, though, you kind of want to secure someone for the long term, especially someone like Jonathan Taylor. You know, his when his asking price is probably going to be somewhere around 14 to 15 million is probably what he's going to end up getting. But the Dolphins, being that they have pretty much an all-in mentality over the next 2 years with all these other contracts, what is stopping them from paying, front-loading that contract, especially to a running back, and being like, yeah, we're going to pay you, 20 million the first year, 15 in cash, and then 5 million on the actual salary, and the same thing the next year, and then the last 2-3 years of his contract is basically null and void, and we can cut him whenever we want at that point if he's not good anymore. That is my 2 cents of it.
Yeah,
I was looking at the comments.
Yeah, me too. I was about to get into that.
Hello, Mighty Zane, and hello, William. Henry didn't hit his stride till year 3. I think that's kind of when.
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of true. He didn't really take over the starting role until halfway through his second year, though. So that's.
It did take him a while, but also the Titans' offensive line took a while to get to come together, and he is a very specific player. Like, once he gets through the offensive line, you're toast. There's nothing you can do about it. But it is that struggle of getting through the offensive line that can hold him back as a player. Just a quick detour so I can address Mighty Zane to shout out to the FAU Owl's Nest YouTube channel. I did talk about that earlier. The interview that I did with the defensive coordinator, Coach Rock, I did that earlier today. And that is going to be going live on the FAU Owl's Nest YouTube channel, I believe, tomorrow morning. So it is for sure coming out tomorrow. It might be 9 a.m. tomorrow, or it might be 3 p.m., 7 p.m., sometime during the day. I believe it's going to be tomorrow morning. And not to toot my own horn, but guy's name is Rick, who leads the Owl's Nest. He said it was a top 3 episode ever. So, just saying, if y'all are interested in FAU football as well as Miami Dolphins football, go over and check out I almost said Miami Dolphins Syndicate. Go check out the FAU Owl's Nest for the episode 3 with that tomorrow. So definitely, thank you for asking to bring that up. So definitely worth watching. Just to wrap it up with Jonathan Taylor, there's just such a hard argument to make if you're not looking at it from win the Super Bowl this year. And as Dolphins fans, Donovan, you and I, we have not seen a lot of win. We have not seen a lot of success. It's not like a team like the Kansas City Chiefs right now, or the Patriots in the mid 2000s to the late 2010s. Like we're not, as of late, a storied franchise that has a lot of recent history in a positive manner. So when you're those teams that maybe you don't want to sell your stock to go all in because you know you're going to be in that position for years to come, well, we don't have that luxury. We haven't been there in recent years. So, yeah, you could look at it as like, well, what does that set us up for in the future? I don't care about the future. I have not seen us win a playoff game. I don't care about the future right now. I care about winning a playoff game. I care about then trying to win the Super Bowl. I don't care about 2024, 2025, 2026. I don't care about the rest of that. I care about this year. We have an amazing chance to win the Super Bowl. So just go all in. I do not care what it means for the future. I don't care what it means to be smart. I'm not trying to be smart right now. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to have this team win. And they're in an incredible position right now to go win. Do whatever you can to put as much talent on the field as possible.
And that's pretty much been their mentality, though. So I'm agreeing with you. That's been their mentality throughout this offseason and a little bit of last offseason. When a star player becomes available, they tend to try to go after them. They went after Jalen Ramsey. They went after Tyreek Hill. They did inquire about Saquon. They didn't inquire about Josh Jacobs. We did try to trade for Dalvin Cook, and then we tried to sign Dalvin Cook, and that came to like a money standpoint, and that became more of, okay, do we really want to pay a 28-year-old running back? But now you're talking about someone that's 24 years old. He has at least 3 solid years left. And we're already seeing how great he could be. He's arguably the second best running back in the entire league behind Nick Chubb. And you can make an argument for best. But yeah,
there's like 5 or 6 guys that you can kind of throw in that category.
Yeah, him, CMC,
Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Saquon. They're all right there.
But
he is a top tier guy.
But on that note, Josh Jacobs he's a little bit older. Saquon a little bit older. Nick Chubb I think is 26, so he's also 2 years older, but he also has less mileage on him. Anyways, Jonathan Taylor will just be an incredible young asset, and he, like you said, you don't really care about the future, but you have to think a little bit about that when you're giving up a first round, not even if it's not a first round pick, but like a first round value.
Yeah.
So you're talking about like a second and Jeff Wilson. Dude, our second round picks over the last, 6-7 years have been fantastic. To name a couple, Xavier Howard, Javon Holland. And then this year we have Cam Smith, who also, once again, looks like a stud. So our second round picks have been very, very solid over the last, 6-7 years. Probably more beyond that. I just can't think of ones right now. I mean, it's insane.
So I'd say because of that, we've opened ourselves to the opportunity to give away a pick like this, because of the fact that we've hit on so many draft picks where we're looking at a roster that definitely still has holes. It definitely still has things that needs to be addressed. But we have brought an influx of young talent in this team that a lot has panned out or could pan out. Still waiting on, is Tua for sure the guy? What's Igbenogany going to look like? What's Austin Jackson going to look like? There are still question marks about some of our younger guys that have been drafted in recent years, but we have hit on a lot of second-round picks, third-round picks, undrafted free agents. We seem to find one like every single offseason that ends up being a key member of the team. So because we've done so well in that department, I think it then allows us to be a little reckless, to be a little irresponsible, to go out and give a draft pick for a guy who is going to immediately come in and be one of the best players on the team. He is the best player on the Indianapolis Colts today. I think that's without question. He comes into this team and, after Tyreek Hill, there's a conversation as to who's the next best player on the offensive side of the football. Is it Jalen Waddle or is it Jonathan Taylor? If that's the conversation we end up having on this podcast, oh my gosh, that is... I crave those conversations. I crave those conundrums. Be like, well, Jalen Waddle, he's really quick. He's very valuable. He's the best wide receiver 2 in the game. But Jonathan Taylor at one point was the rushing leader. I want to have that argument where we're comparing Jonathan Taylor and Jalen Waddle as to who is the second best player on the team. I would be absolutely ecstatic. But speaking of Jonathan Taylor, speaking of Jalen Waddle and members of this offense, Tua had himself a very fun day, and I am all for it. So Tua addressing some comments made by Ron Clark. Ron Clark was talking about how he's put on some weight, looking a little thick, quote unquote. And Tua definitely did not take too kindly to it, as you guys saw in the video earlier today, clapping back at him, saying it's kind of weird for guys to be talking about other guys. And he talked about his Samoan heritage, about how, if he's got to go, he's got to go. He's got to stand up for himself. He's got to stand up for himself. And then later on told him to keep his name out of his mouth. Love to see it. Love to see the zest. Love to see the tenacity from Tua to be standing up for himself, because there have been so many people, me included, this guy right here, this guy on the left side of your screen, that have had a lot of negative things to say about Tua over the years, have had a lot of questions to say about Tua over the years. And some of them being definitely justified, but he's had to just hear all this yapping from morons like myself ever since he was drafted. And now, since he had that good season play-wise last year, still has some question marks about the injuries. But since now that he has that inner belief back in him, he's starting to push back against these narratives and push back against these media personalities. And I'm just all for it.
Dude, I am 100% for it. And I was just looking for a reply that Joe Shad had, because it was a little bit explicit than what you said, that what he said about Tua. It like something about comparing him to like a hooker's body type. Like he was like
Wow.
it was something along those lines. Like I can't find it. He might have deleted it.
Oh, is that
But
he
I
said
remember
he said a girl working at Onyx.
yeah. So
Yeah.
like so he's
That's
talking
pretty
about
disrespectful.
that is like straight up disrespectful. And even Tua was like, bro, we can get scrappy if you want to get scrappy.
That's the word I was
Like
looking
word
for.
for word, word for word, bar for bar. And even I sent you Waddle came to his defense on Instagram sharing it like, yeah, don't come at my QB. And then Tyreek, same thing on Twitter. Yeah, if you want that smoke, you can get that smoke. And then I see some comments, people talking about like you can really see that Ryan Clark's CTE setting in.
Jeez.
Oh man, but I love Tua standing up for himself. You know, going from where we were a year ago, where he was questioning if he was good, to now he not only has confidence in himself, his teammates have confidence in him. He's a leader. He's becoming more vocal every single year, and I love to see it. And I love this is once again just another progression that I think that he can translate to the field.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And in those first 3 years, he to be fair, he has been an easy target. He was the second shortest quarterback in the NFL before this most recent draft. He's undersized in terms of weight, looking like at a playing weight of 205 to 215. Like that's very little. Got the weaker arm. He's a lefty, so he's already looking a little weird. Like there's just so many things about him that up to his point, like yeah, up to this point he has been an easy target. And now that he's finally earning his respect, now he's starting to command the respect. He's not going to just let people chirp and talk about him. Like you can still have your criticism of Tua, and like he's not not like Baker Mayfield, where Baker Mayfield just feels the need to anytime somebody says something negative about him, tweet something out, call him out in a press conference. Like Tua hasn't really called anybody out about them talking about his game. He hasn't really called anybody out talking about his injuries. But when you start making definitely a disrespectful comment, like he is setting a line like, hey, look, you can do your job, you can talk about the team, you can even talk about me in a negative light, but what you're not going to do is be disrespectful. And
Yeah.
I love that just ability to stand up for yourself, because that resonates in the locker room where you're trying to have 52 other men follow your lead, follow you out onto the football field. And we've seen in years past under Brian Flores where anonymous members of the team were coming out and criticizing him and weren't man enough to do it with their own names. So they had to be anonymous about it, and they were coming out like this. Now it's completely flipped script, like you just mentioned. Tyreek Hill coming out, Jalen Waddle coming out, teammates supporting him around the team, whereas before he was wondering whether his coach liked him, whether his teammates liked him. Now he has everybody behind him, and he can just ooze confidence. We see it with the tattoo. We see it with the comfortability when he's out there on the field. This is a new Tua that I'm so excited to see in September.
Dude, I can't wait to see what he's able to do on the field. We saw him, throw that interception to lead off.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great.
That was his first throw since Christmas. Like first live action throw since Christmas. So, to come back out the next series and do what he did, and then of course he got sad after that. But I really liked what he did. I'm excited to see what he could do throughout this offseason. But speaking of some, injuries that we have going on.
Actually, I have one more thing to say on that front.
Okay.
Like, I'm still, like I mentioned earlier, I'm still not 100% sold onto it. Like, I want him to be the guy. I think it'd be best case scenario if he ends up going out and balling this year. Maybe misses at most a game. Gets over 4,000 yards, gets above 30 touchdowns, continues the progression that he was on track for had he not missed the remaining 3 games or whatever it was, also missing games earlier on in the season. Had that not happened, you're probably looking around a 4,500-yard passer, around 35 touchdowns, probably more, probably closer to 40. Like, if he ends up getting those numbers, cool, love it. That's what I'm hoping for. I still do have my concerns about him being able to stay on the field. I do have my concerns about if this offense does not add any more layers to it, as in The defense knows now what we're trying to do. We're trying to hit guys 15 to 25 yards down the field. They know he doesn't have the biggest arm in the world, so they don't have to keep their safeties back. They can narrow that gap between their middle linebackers and their safeties and then make it very difficult for the Dolphins to operate. I do worry about if this offense is this one-dimensional, what's going to happen? How is he going to respond? I do have my concerns still, but going into the season today compared to where I was when the season ended, I have so much more belief today than I did back then. So now with that, we can roll into some injuries, like one of the guys he's going to be throwing to in Jalen Waddle and Devon A-Chain. What are we looking like with those guys' progression towards getting back to the field?
So Waddle is day to day. He, still dealing with that side injury. Don't expect him to play in the preseason game again, like he didn't last week. Just precaution. I think that they'll ramp up his workload going into the season, but when your star receivers, you don't really want him to go into a preseason game that's meaningless, banged up, make it worse, so then it's a longer recovery time. Then he's playing the entire season with this injury. They want him to fully heal up before he gets any contact. Von A-Chain talked a little bit before the stream about his injury. He just got absolutely just power bombed on his shoulder. Didn't say specifically what his injury was, but it is a shoulder injury, and he is now day to day as well. His X-rays and MRIs were negative. I know that. So it's pretty much just going to be until he's fully healed. Another shoulder injury, Cam Smith. We talked a little bit earlier about him, how good he's been so far. He missed the last preseason game. He ditched the red non-contact jersey today, and was able to go full contact again. He's trying to play in this last preseason game. It's pretty much going to be his last shot to try to take the CB2 role. Well, I mean, technically that's CB2 is Cater, but CB2 role from Noah Igbinoghene, who has been playing very, very well throughout the training camp and the preseason. And don't give me that damn look.
Just anytime you say his name, you already know it's coming. I don't even know why you try to fight it.
You're just giving me a look. Whatever. He's proved you wrong so far this offseason. I said so far. So
Continue.
Next injury, Teron Armstead, as we know, one of the biggest injuries on this team. They're still hoping for him to be ready week 1. He ditched the boot that everybody saw on preseason. He was sitting on the sideline with his foot up with a boot, walking around with a boot. He ditched it today. He did wash practice, but he washed it without a boot. So a boot.
Just hearing you say boot 5 times in a row just made me laugh. Like you're like boot.
Yeah,
you said it with a slight twang.
Like a slight. Yeah, a boot. So yeah, he's aiming for week 1 to be ready. Robert Jones, our backup guard, he is the first backup guard if you don't count Liam Eichenberg. He is week to week. Some are saying he may start the season on IR, but I don't think so, because that takes him out for 4 weeks. I don't think it's going to be that long. They said it's a 4 to 6 week injury. It was a sprained MCL. So I anticipate him ditching IR and probably just being out for the first couple weeks of the season. What's up? Braylon Sanders.
Dear Lord, how many people are hurt?
A lot. He's hoping to return this week. But it's going to be his last shot to try to make the team. Otherwise, he's probably going to be on the practice squad, which he probably is anyway.
No, he's... Yeah. Sorry, this is going to happen.
Let's see. Jalen Ramsey is progressing well in his rehab and is hoping to return sometime in November.
Any chance he plays week 1?
I don't think so, but you never know, because he was walking. I'm kidding.
Hey, he's probably still better today than Noah Igbinoghene.
I hate you so much.
Hey, Liz, if you're watching, hey, I want your boy out there, all right? So you can be more of a Dolphins fan. Come on.
Whatever.
I need her in a Dolphins jersey. I need her in a Dolphins jersey, and Jalen Ramsey's the only way it's going to happen.
Ramsey. Get her a Ramsey jersey then.
I don't think she's gonna get it until he's back on the field, though.
Whatever.
I keep telling her to get the
Anyway,
fake jerseys. She's,
just
no, I like
get
getting
an
the real
FSU.
jersey. No,
Get an
no.
FSU.
She already has a Jalen Ramsey jersey, just not a Miami
for
Dolphins
5
one.
days.
Yeah,
Okay, so you want to get her? Okay.
yeah. Is anybody else
Um,
hurt? Please tell me no. Oh well, did you
no,
say did you bring up Nick Needham?
Jeff Wilson,
Jeez.
Keon Crossan returned today.
Yes.
Can we release him now, please? Thank you.
James Blackman's back.
James Blackman is back, but he's probably going to get cut because Mike White is progressing through concussion protocol.
Dang it.
Forgot to mention that. Yeah, Mike White got concussed in like his 2 plays last week.
Yeah, how did he
I
even get
don't know.
tackled?
I don't know. He was supposed to split time, so
So
was
he
supposed to
didn't.
come in-
He probably didn't get hurt in the game. That's probably
That's what I'm
not what
thinking.
happened.
That's what I'm
Did
thinking.
he sneeze or something on the sideline?
I I don't know. They found something like one. So he was actually supposed to split time. So with Skylar. So Skylar came off the field. It was supposed to be the series after that. Mike was supposed to come in, and then since Skylar left the field, then Mike White came in, and then they were like, "You don't look right. Get over in there."
Well,
and they put Skylar back in for the rest of the game.
They had a lot of time to look at concussed quarterbacks last year,
Right?
or
Right?
even allegedly with Teddy Bridgewater, allegedly concussed. So
Allegedly with Tua also
They-
in the Bills game.
I think it's concussion. Even if it's not like if it wasn't that, like it was still like, oh, that hurt.
Bro, Tua played with a concussion in the second half against the Packers, and it showed
That Packers game was so fun until it wasn't.
until he was concussed, pretty much.
Because that was the first time in years we've been to a game where it was freezing. Like, that might have been your first ever cold game at Dolphin Stadium, actually, or Hard Rock Stadium.
Yeah.
And, like, I've maybe been to one other one, like, back when I had, like, season tickets by, like, 2017 or something. Like, that was probably the coldest Dolphin game I've ever been to. So, like, while we were winning, I did not care at all how cold it was. And the entire second half, I'm like, jeez, kill me.
Oh man. But Zach Sealer is a little bit banged up.
When did that happen?
It's a little knee injury during one-on-one drills.
A little knee injury. Has an
a little
ACL
knee
sprain,
injury.
probably.
No, he was limited today. He'll be they're just kind of playing it by ear. Lester Cotton
Who?
He's a guard. He returned from his injury. Brandon Jones ditched the red non-contact today.
Let's
So,
boy.
you guys, let's go. And with that, Fangio hasn't named the next starting safety next to Javon Holland. He says it's all up in the air, so it could still be Verone McKinley, Deshaun Elliott, Brandon Jones.
They've got 2.5 weeks to figure it out.
Even True Will, I keep forgetting that he switched to safety.
When did that happen?
When he ditched the red non-contact jersey.
The more you know.
I think it's more of like they want him in kind of like the Elijah Campbell role where he could play both positions, but they're really just special teams guys.
The Elijah Campbell role. Those words have never been said in a sentence together ever before just now. The Elijah Campbell role.
I think they're just trying to find a way for him to make the team because of how versatile he is and how good he is on special teams.
You're talking about Campbell or Trill?
Trill. I
Okay.
think they make cut of Trill.
You cut out there. What'd you say?
I said I think they may cut Campbell in favor of Trill.
I heard you say. I thought you said you were gonna cut. They're gonna cut Trill. I'm like, ain't no way.
Hey, so we have some good tight end news.
Oh boy, did we sign one?
Kind of. Tanner Connor came off the PUP. He actually made a great play in practice today.
Ain't no way that's the good news. Tanner Connor is back on the Dolphins football field. Like, what are we doing here? Dude's cheeks.
He made an incredible play today, extending his arms to make an exceptional catch on a James Blackman throw.
Nice.
It was a 40-yard touchdown. I believe that is it for injury news.
Were they doing joint practices today or no?
No joint practice this week. They're in
I didn't.
Miami.
I
Jacksonville
didn't.
is up in Jacksonville.
I didn't think so.
So the battle of the Florida boys. I feel like we play
Yeah.
a Florida team every single
They
year
do.
in preseason.
They like to keep it teams. They try to keep it teams within the same geography that's not playing the team that year. So like Houston, Atlanta, Jacksonville, like all kind of in that area. So to wrap it out with Jacksonville, and it's kind of like going into the first preseason game where you really have no idea what the team's going to look like going into. I'm just going to say that now. Like it is a complete guessing game at this point, at the time of us doing this stream, at the time of recording this. Like the first preseason game, you assume the starters aren't going to play, and the second one is where you see the majority of the guys get out there and play, and then the third one is again just as much of a guessing game, because I'm pretty sure last year did Tua play in the third preseason? I think he played like one drive in the Eagles preseason game last year. Or did he not play at all?
Well, the Eagles wasn't the last one though. The Eagles was the second one.
What was the last one last year?
The last one, was it the Falcons?
I don't remember. It's preseason games.
I don't remember in particular. I remember you missed the Eagles game.
Yeah.
And that was the first time Tyreek was in a Dolphins uniform, and Tua just threw an absolute on the first play.
Yeah. That I remember. If that was the second one, that makes sense, because again, that's where you get the starters out there. You throw them out there. You get to play. This is the last chance for a lot of guys to earn their spot on the team. Now, there's so many things that are already figured out, but there's still a lot to be decided. Like we saw news today, like Robbie Anderson apparently had a pretty good day of practice. Him, Braxton Berrios, Eric Azukama. This is a great opportunity for them to get live reps in a game to figure out who is that wide receiver 3. For the cornerbacks, you have Igbo. You have guys who are still coming back from injury, so he's probably going to end up as that number 2 there. But you have Cater Kahu that could potentially get it. You have Cam Smith that could potentially get it. Are they going to play at all? Probably not. But you never know. You can see it. There's just so many places around the field that you can highlight and watch and see the people fighting out there. So I don't want Tua out there. I don't want Tyreek out there. I don't want guys who we know what they're going to be. I want it to be, assuming his concussion is fine, I wanted to see Mike White one half, Scott Thompson the other, and I want to. This probably isn't going to happen, but I'd like to see them get the exact same wide receiver core, so we can then judge them based on the guys that they're playing with. They're playing with the exact same guys. They're playing with Robbie Anderson. They're playing with Braxton Berrios. They're playing with Eric Ezekam. They're playing with Robert Craycraft. Like they get the same guys allotted to them for the entire game, because those guys are fighting positions themselves. So that's just the best way to compare. Like, hey, we have footage of these wide receivers with this quarterback and these same wide receivers with this quarterback, and everybody's just getting tested. It's probably not going to happen, but I think that'd be most ideal.
I think that would be most ideal too, because kind of like in the first preseason game, I think that was the idea for the last preseason game, was like, okay, so we saw Mike White first with the 2-3s or 3-4s, and then we saw Skylar with the 4-5s. But now last week we saw Skylar with some 1s and 2s and some 3s, and then towards the end of the game he was playing like 3s and 4s, which was supposed to be Mike White at that point. So you can kind of evaluate, because the first week, I mean, bro, it was so tough to just watch. He had less than a second every single time he dropped back Skylar Thompson in that first one. So I would really like to see what he can do behind at least our backup offensive line, and do something with that, and see what Mike White can do with them too. I mean, I think we already have a pretty good idea on our offensive line. I think the guys that are in competitions will play. I agree with you. I don't want to see Tua out there. I don't want to see Tyreek out there. I don't want to see Waddle. I don't want to see Armstead. I want all these guys to be nice, healthy, and prepared for the regular season. I feel like they showed that they're game ready last week, coming in and torching, that one drive. But that drive wasn't even scripted. Anyway, and then on the defensive side, I don't want to see Xavier Howard out there. I would like to see a little bit of Cater, because I do want to see. I want to see him play on the boundary just in case he needs to, because we know Cam Smith's coming off injury and Noah's out there also, and then we just signed a corner who is a slot guy. So that's pretty much like, okay, if someone gets hurt, then Cater can move to the outside and this guy can play in the slot. I'm completely blanking on his name right now. So I would like to see it, how much he has improved on the boundary versus last year, because we already knew he could play the slot and we knew he was pretty decent on the boundary. I want to see if he has any improvements there. Obviously, corners, I want to see Igbo, I want to see Cam Smith, I want to see Eli Apple, I want to see all those guys. I want to see Keon Crossan get traded, so I would love to see him miss a tackle on special teams, because that's like the only reason he's on the team.
Jeez.
If he misses a tackle on special teams, I almost guarantee you he's cut. I would love nothing more, and I hate, you know me, like I am like a Dolphins like guy, like I preach for almost everybody, like, oh, I hope they find someone to get paid somewhere else.
We know.
You get annoyed by it.
I do.
Keon Crossan is not one of those guys.
Oh, no.
Yeah, don't care.
Even though it's not even necessarily his fault what happened last year. He was kind of just thrust into a situation he was never supposed to be in. So
it was mostly Boyer's and Crossman's fault, because they're like, oh well, Keon's better on special teams, so we'll just take Keon, even though he was absolutely booty cheeks compared to Igbo in coverage.
So for me, my biggest worry is that Skylar Thompson plays good. Like that is a concern to me, that if he, because we all saw what happened last preseason, how he was the single best player in the entire NFL in preseason last year, and then we saw how just dog water he was when it actually came to game time, right? I don't want him to get like last week. He played great against the Texans. No complaints about the play itself. I'm afraid he's going to come out and throw 200 yards, two touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 73% completion percentage, and then usurp Mike White on the backup depth chart. Like, I don't want to have that. We saw the Skylar Thompson experiment last year. He's talented. He's got a good arm. He's athletic. He has intangibles. Guess who else does? Trey Lance. Trey Lance is the third string over in San Francisco. He was drafted in the first round with the third pick. Skylar Thompson was drafted in the 7th round. All right? There are guys that are talented. There are guys that have attributes that you want from a quarterback position, but it doesn't mean they're actually good at football. And Skylar Thompson is one of those. I would hate to see him play good on Saturday and him end up getting the number 2 job, whereas Mike White, who, he's not going to pop. It's not going to look pretty. But you know he's just going to lead the offense and do the best to get the ball in the hands of Tyreek Hill, where somehow on God's green earth, Skylar Thompson just can't. He just can't hit receivers. He just can't hit the ball in where guys need the ball. So I'm terrified of him playing good against the Jaguars.
I kind of a little bit disagree with you there. Like I'm starting to get a little bit more on your boat, where like, okay, he
welcome. We have room.
Been...
We have plenty of room. Please, anybody else who's watching, please. We have plenty of room on the Skylar Thompson is trash bandwagon. Come on. Look, we have plenty of room.
I'm not completely. I'm like 1 foot on, 1 foot off at this moment. Now we know, once again, you can't take preseason seriously. There's so many guys that just thrive in preseason and don't do anything in the regular season.
I mean, how often was Sam Aguavi the team MVP in preseason and then have like -2 tackles during the season?
I wouldn't say -2, but he just didn't play.
Precisely.
But, with this new rule being set that we can have 3 quarterbacks in uniform on Sunday, and one of them not count towards the roster, but they only play in case the first 2 get injured. With that rule being there, I don't necessarily mind if Skylar is the number 2, just because like I like Mike White. Look, Mike White could either okay, he's not listening.
I'm listening. That's why I'm laughing, is because I'm listening.
The reason I say this is I like Mike White, but he will make an absolute dot throw, an amazing play, and then the very next make the most boneheaded mistake you'll ever see, like a Nathan Peterman type of throw. For example, the interception he had on the very first drive of our preseason game. You know exactly what I'm talking about too. Like, why would you throw that? And he does that too much. We've seen it. He does it in practice as well. He'll have an absolute dot of a throw, and then the very next, like at least with Skyler, he's consistent. So if he happens to be consistently good, that's great. If he happens to be consistently bad,
I 100% disagree with the last thing you said. Skylar Thompson is wildly inconsistent. He's one of the most inconsistent players I've ever seen. He can't hit throws. He looks good everywhere up until the throw. Like the snap. He's tall, he's athletic, he's got some move to him, he's got some pop on the arm. Except then he'll throw 39% completion percentage in a playoff game. I'm not sure if that's the actual number, bear with me. He'll throw below sub 40% in a playoff game, and still the team somehow nearly wins. Look what Chad Henne was able to do with the Kansas City Chiefs, right? I don't want some athletic backup that is going to look nice but not finish. I'd rather have the gym coach behind the offensive line, but he can hit their throws. I'd rather have halfway to the retirement home behind me than someone with Skylar Thompson who just can't hit throws. The offense is designed for guys to hit throws. Skylar Thompson can't hit throws. He can't hit open guys. All right? So Mike White, yeah, obviously he's not great. That's why he's a freaking backup. That's why he's, is he a top 5, top 10 backup? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Don't care. Backup for a reason. Your job is to come in and just run the offense. Don't do anything extraordinary. Don't have the biggest arm in the league. Just hit the throws you're asked to throw, because they're going to make the offense so condensed when they bring in the backup quarterbacks. So just do what that offense asks you to do. Don't throw too many interceptions. Lead the team. That's all I ask for. I don't ask for all these extra special attributes that Skylar Thompson has, because when he actually goes to put the product together, it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't work.
So it was actually a 40% completion percentage.
Oh, excuse me. Pardon. I said 39%. Apologies. It was 40%. Thank you, Donovan.
18 of 45 is what he did.
That's so bad. That's so bad. Why does people on this fan base still defend Skylar Thompson? He has not shown us anything outside of the preseason last year that he's a capable, good, talented quarterback. All right? What has he done? What has he actually done on a football field? Nothing. You guys are brainwashed. Everyone loves to claim, don't take preseason too seriously. And then when somebody on their team balls out in preseason, a la Skylar Thompson, a la, what's his name? Number 8.
Roberts.
No, the wide receiver that played for us that was wearing number 18.
Preston Williams?
Preston Williams had one decent season, had that one wonder beforehand in preseason where he... Shut up, I'm talking.
No.
Preston Williams had a great preseason, he had a decent game, and then has sucked ever since. Or had a decent few games that season. Skylar Thompson was great in preseason, and now he sucks. I don't care if he's on your team. Stop getting obsessed and absorbing yourself with these preseason wonders when you tell every friend you have that's a Cowboys fan, that's a Cardinals fan, that I don't care who they are, you tell all your friends like, it's just preseason, don't get too hyped up, and then you do the same exact thing with your own team. Why are Dolphins fans doing this?
I think that's just NFL fans in general.
I'm really
I was gonna defend the whole Preston Williams thing, and it take me 2 seconds. Basically, he was a first-round talent that had off-the-field issues and was deemed as a little lazy. So then that's why he went undrafted. Then the Dolphins paid him. He's one of the, more premier undrafted free agents that they picked up. Then he showed out in training camp, practice, preseason, and had a great year, throughout that year when he wasn't injured. And honestly, up until that Cardinals game, he was one of our best receivers on the team.
Not really a tall task to ask.
It wasn't saying too much. But then after that, between that injury, him getting lazy, and then everything else, he fell out of the league. Now he's like I think he's on a practice squad somewhere. He got cut
Yeah.
from Carolina.
He's just
I
not.
think
He's just not
I think he
good.
signed. I think he signed somewhere. It's not that he's not good. It's that
He's
he's
not good.
lazy.
That's part of it. I don't care.
It's basically okay.
He's not
It's
good.
like the tackle from that was a first round pick for Tennessee.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Doesn't matter to me. He's
The
not good. Like they don't. You can't just say, oh, like he's good, but this. Like no, like that's all part of it. Like I don't care if you have some sort of talent that you showed
that's
in
not
high school.
that's not part of it.
Then, but you're just not good then.
That's literally just his off the field issues affecting his on the field issues, and that is the
If you're
same
on the
thing
field,
with
if your off the field issues are bad enough that you play 3 NFL snaps, or you have one good season and are never really heard from again, you're not a good football player. It's part of life.
yes,
It's
you're
not a video
good
game.
NFL player. Not you bother
No.
me at the football part.
No, you're
'Cause
not a good
good
football
at
player.
football, but you're not
You're not a good
you know,
professional. You're
you
not a good
don't- you
professional
don't
football
have-
player.
You're not a good professional. You're not a good professional.
Yeah.
And that's the part. It's the
I don't care if-
professional football.
I don't care if you can go show up to the park, go show up to Tamarack Park. I don't care if you go show up to Mullins Park and you ball out and you're the best person there. If you can't ball out consistently, keep yourself on the field and give the coaches reasons to pick you and not cut you, then I don't have really any sympathy for you. So like you're in control of your own destiny in that position. You're on the team already. You already had a good team. You already had a good season. So just fall in line and continue to do what you did then. And he didn't do that, and now he sucks. Simple as. It's get kind of somewhat back on point. Jaguars, it's like just as impossible to figure out what they're going to do as it is for the Dolphins. Because like, is Trevor Lawrence going to play? Maybe. Is Calvin Ridley going to play? Maybe. Christian Kirk going to play? Maybe. Travis Etienne? Maybe. I don't know. Bunch of them? I don't know. I mean, like, speaking of guys of quarterbacks that are impressing in preseason that'll probably never do it again, their backup quarterback's pretty cool. So I'm actually excited to see him play because he's kind of been balling. Remember he had that play?
Yeah.
Where like he's being grabbed and he's just like, screw you.
I kind of want to see a little bit of T-Law, and I want to see a little bit of Calvin Ridley. I want to see that connection.
No, I don't want to see any Calvin Ridley. Please don't get hurt. Just stay on the bench. It's okay.
I want to see all the Calvin Ridley. I want to see all of it.
So just to give you guys context, I drafted him. I jumped in front of him in our dynasty league to draft him. Right. So I draft him. I then trade Calvin Ridley to him in part for Tyreek Hill. Traded him in a first round pick for Tyreek Hill, and then I got Calvin Ridley back from him while still having Tyreek Hill. What'd I give you for Calvin Ridley?
DK, a second round pick and a third round pick.
Yes, and DK was actually picked in the draft before Calvin Ridley was, but that's just how much I value Calvin Ridley and figured out how much I value Calvin Ridley. So he was mad that I took him over him. I gave Calvin Ridley to him, and then I got him back. So he's going to be doing some like New Orleans like black magic voodoo, hoping that Calvin Ridley gets hurt, and that so he's just. Right.
I don't hope that Calvin Ridley gets hurt because I plan on taking him in one of my other like 6 leagues I have yet to draft.
I'm going to cry if you don't end up in any of them.
That's two players that I want that I don't have in other leagues so far: Quentin Johnston and Calvin Ridley.
Well, you also only have like 2 leagues right now that you've drafted in.
I only have 2.
Not even drafted, but you have 2 active rosters.
I have 1 on Friday, 3 on Sunday, and then 1 next Sunday.
Okay, before we get into this talk, because Jacob and Donovan aren't going to do the same thing we did last week. Score prediction, go.
Score prediction. I'm going to be on your side a little bit, like unlike last week. I'm going to go ahead and say 31-10.
So Jacob last week said 27-3, and Price is Right means I got it just about as close as I possibly could because it was 28-3. I am going to be just as overzealous and obnoxious, and I am going to. What'd you say?
I said 31-10.
35-6.
Oh, all right.
And I did this afterwards
all right,
last time.
right.
I just rewatched Interstellar the other day. Oh my gosh, and it's so good, especially once you've already you've seen Interstellar before, right?
No. We talked about this at Ale House the other day.
We talked about a bunch of different things. There was 8 people at that table. You think I specifically heard you say that you had never seen Interstellar?
Maine had the same face you did.
Yeah, because he said that was his favorite movie.
Yeah, and then I said I've
Oh
never seen
my
it. And he,
gosh. What? Why not?
I haven't come around to it.
So 2 days ago I watched Interstellar. Oh, yesterday I watched Nightcrawler, I think it's called. Jake Gyllenhaal, he plays a guy who goes around to when like crimes happen and records it and sends it in to news station. Dude, he like all right. This is a football chat, so no one's gonna be bothered by this. Taylor Swift fans need to shut up. All right, Jake Gyllenhaal's an incredible actor. I don't care about what happened while they were dating. Like, oh, like he wasn't nice to me around our
Taylor
friends.
Swift and football. Speaking of Taylor Swift, how the is Jaron Hall of all people the rookie quarterback? I think it was a rookie 5th-round pick for the Vikings. How is out of all people is he the one dating Taylor Swift?
I didn't even know that.
We talked about it a little bit in the Syndicate chat. Like how out of all the people.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
don't get
Don't get me wrong. She's a beautiful woman, very talented singer, very talented at what she does. But Jake Gyllenhaal, like, yo, he's an incredible. Because have you seen? Okay, have you seen Prisoners? With him and you haven't seen Prisoners? Dude, Prisoners is fantastic. He plays a cop in there that like he's trying to find these 2 girls that were kidnapped, and like he's like stone cold. He's got like anger issues. Like he's just calm and calm / anger issues, but like he's very stoic. And then he plays this like nerdy weird guy in Nightcrawler who like he's trying to get some video to support himself, and like he's just such a good freaking actor. Liz, I will come for Taylor. All right, I don't care. I don't care what happened between them. All right, nothing. As far as I'm aware. Okay. Time out. As far as I'm aware, nothing bad actually happened. All right, time in. Assuming nothing bad actually happened, y'all need to shut up. All right, Jake Gyllenhaal is a phenomenal actor. All right, diverse. He can do a bunch of different things. He can be a weirdo, or he can be like. Oh, also, wasn't he in the Zodiac movie? I'm pretty sure.
I didn't see that one, but have you seen him?
Have you seen anything?
Two Cops. Two
Who?
Cops, I think it was.
No.
I want to say it was Two Cops.
Have you seen anything, my friend? Have you seen
Yes.
Have you seen No Country for Old Men?
No.
I have not either. That is next on the itinerary that I want to watch. So 2 nights ago I watched Interstellar. Last night bro, watch Interstellar. Holy crap. Interstellar is so good. Like I wanted to talk about what I wanted to talk about, but like I can't because it won't make sense. So like the first like hour of the movie, once you know how it's gonna go, like you're just like, if you any guys that watch, you know, like when he gets in the rocket and leaves, it's like, never mind. It's incredible. And he still hasn't seen Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer.
Oh, End of Watch. That's the one I was thinking of. End of Watch.
Oppenheimer if y'all haven't seen Oppenheimer, it might still be in theaters. I'm not sure. Fantastic. I saw it with Liz, who's she's probably about to scream at me about something else I said about Taylor Swift. Deal with it.
So she's a Swiftie.
I said that. Yeah, as I said earlier, I'm like, Liz, I know you're a Swiftie, and then went on. That's why I said y'all Swifties. We saw it together, and like the first time watching it, there's just so much going on, but like, it seems slow, but it's not. And then the second time watching, when I saw it by myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like the best movie I've ever seen. But then I watch Interstellar, I'm like, oh wow, Christopher Nolan's just amazing. Like if Christopher Nolan and Quentin Tarantino team,
So y'all remember how earlier in the stream I was talking about that South Park video, or that South Park scene? That would pretty much be Jacob if Tarantino and Nolan teamed up.
Woo! Yes, I would be, because like my top 5 favorite movies are probably all either Christopher Nolan films or Tarantino films. Inglourious Bastards. This is not in any particular order, but Inglourious Bastards, Django, Interstellar. Oppenheimer. Those are probably my top 4 favorite movies. Not in that order. In order, I'm probably gonna go. I'm gonna go Oppenheimer, Inglorious Bastards. Jeez. Django and Interstellar are like tied for 3. I can't pick between Interstellar and Django.
What about Inception?
Oh, Inception's 5. Yep, there you go. There you go. There you go. That's the top 5. Oh, what's the order though? Oh, okay. Liz just texted me saying Twilight. Twilight.
Such a female.
Funny. I did not forget Twilight. I very much did. She can't comment. It won't let her comment on the live streams. That's why she texts me during the stream.
Do we have it set to subscribers only?
I don't know. That's a good question. I told her like maybe is it like I don't think it is. Can you go in and check?
I'm not on. I'm on my personal.
Okay. Okay. That'll be something. I'll figure out after the stream ends. Top 5 favorite movies. This is how rank. This is gonna be in order. Oppenheimer, Inglourious Bastards,
Inception to Django.
You just call it the Django. Django. It is between Inception, Django, and Interstellar. Oh man, I'm gonna go. Oh, this is insane. How am I supposed to rank Django, Interstellar, and Inception? Like what? It's just because they're such different things. So okay, I'm just gonna do it. Okay, Oppenheimer, Inglourious Bastards, Inception, Django, and then Interstellar. But those are all 10s. Like for me, that's like comparing, I don't know, Texas de Brazil versus like your favorite steak place. Like either way, you're getting incredible food. It's like comparing a Zinger Mountain Melt to a Philly cheesesteak. All right, they're both perfect. They're both in itself. They cannot be one upped. They are perfect. All 5 of those movies are 10s. 10 out of 10s. And it's like Oppenheimer, I think also like it gets like ranked higher because of because Oppenheimer and Utopia came out at the same time, and I love Utopia and I love Oppenheimer. Like I think both are like perfect. So like those 2 will forever be in sync for me. So like Utopia is not like my favorite album ever. Like that'd be overzealous. But like the 2 of them matched together are like my, oh man. What are your favorite movies?
All right, so
have you been doing research on this, or like were you thinking about it while I've been talking?
I was thinking about it the whole time you were talking. Not gonna lie.
Okay, hit me with your top 5.
All right, so number 1.
Pretty good margin. Wait. I already know I'm gonna be so disappointed by this list just because Donovan. I say Donovan has terrible taste in pretty much everything except for food. All right, he has decent taste in food. That's about it.
Decent.
He has good taste. He has pretty good taste in food. Music, atrocious. Atrocious music taste. God awful music taste. So like I'm very concerned about this list. Top 5 favorite movies.
Number 1, The Fast and the Furious, the first one.
The only thing that redeems you is that you said the first one, because the first one's a very good movie. But the fact that Fast and the Furious is your number 1 movie.
I'm a car guy. What do you want from me? It's my favorite movie. It got me into cars. I have a race car because of that movie.
Continue.
Number 2,
Tokyo
Star
Drift.
Wars Episode 3. No. Star Wars Episode 3.
That's probably the movie I watched the most times in my life.
Number 3.
I got that at 6.
I'm not a big fan of the 6th one.
No. I mean, that's my 6th favorite movie is Star Wars Episode 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
My 3rd one is probably Inception. Fourth one, it was between what's that the Will Smith movie with
Hancock?
no, the dogs, the dog that died, the
Crap.
zombie movie.
Yeah, Liz is gonna text it to me in like 15 seconds. Oh, what's it called? Liz, text me. You're a movie. You're a movie person. Text me.
I'm drawing a blank on it. So I Am Legend. Jesus.
I Am Legend. Yes.
And then I have. So this is gonna be really bad because like Will Smith is in two of my top five, but it's okay. For me, it's between iRobot, Focus, and Bad Boys 2.
I Am Robot. Is that what it was?
No, not I Am Robot, iRobot.
Oh,
That's the one. I really liked that one. That Real Steel, like I have a lot of ones that like I don't really have many that like pop out to me. You don't like Real Steel?
It's just the type of movie that it is. Like, it's not necessarily inherently a bad movie. It's just like it's not quality. It's like saying McDonald's is your favorite restaurant. Like, it's good, everybody enjoys it, but like, bro, it's McDonald's. It's Real Steel.
I liked Real Steel. I can't really put it in my top five. I liked
What is your actual top five then? What is those? I decided. Hey, it was a very difficult decision for me. It was a very difficult decision for me. You have to do the same. I think you already said 3. What's your last 2?
Oh, how the fuck can I forget about Avatar? Five is Avatar.
Was 4.
Yeah, we're switching 4 and 5. 4 I said was I Am Legend.
What was 3? I thought I Am Legend was 3.
Oh shit, I'm missing. Okay.
You went Fast and Furious, Star Wars Episode 3.
I went Fast and Furious, Star Wars Episode 3, I Am Legend, Avatar, and I'm missing one. Jeez.
Well, you said like 4 or 5 different ones, but you never actually cemented it in.
Yeah, it's like I like the ones that like really hard for me. I have to look up this guy because I know he's in it.
I just feel disappointment coming. I'm telling. And relatively, I'll give you credit. Relatively,
Ooh.
I'm less disappointed than I thought I was going to be. I'm sure that's something you hear your entire life.
Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, that's a very good movie. It's a very good movie.
I'm trying to think of like movies that aren't predictable because I like movies that aren't predictable. Like you don't know what's going to happen.
Top Gun Maverick was very predictable, but it was still very good.
But I'm saying like you didn't expect certain scenes from it. Now, when he ended up being alive, sorry for the spoiler, from the crash, I was like semi like disappointed. Like, of course, I was happy like he was alive, but I'm disappointed that like.
When you say which crash are we talking about?
Tom Cruise.
He was only in one crash.
I'm saying, but that crash.
Like in the beginning of the movie?
At the end of the movie.
Beginning. He wasn't in a crash. Oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I'm stupid. I forgot about that. I forget that ending sequence happened.
I feel like if he died at the end, it would have been like if they wrote it a certain way.
Yeah.
I still like the way they did it, but then that's where it became predictable. But throughout the movie, like in the previews, you see that it's Goose's son, and you're like, oh, they're gonna have a solid relationship. No, not even close. He's sitting there the whole time trying to repair that relationship. So I did really like that in the sense that, you know, it's not what you think it's going to be.
And I like how you speak on like if they killed him. Have you seen the TV show You?
Yes.
Are you fully caught up?
I believe so. Yeah.
What was the last thing you remember happening? Because if I say what I'm about to say, it could really ruin it for you.
Didn't he kill himself at the end?
Okay. Well, if you don't want to hear what I'm about to say, 3, 2, 1. He tried to kill himself. He jumped off the bridge, And like, I wish they killed him off there and they just stopped the series. Cause like, if they killed him off there and he killed himself like that, like, he's literally battling his demons. Literally, at the entire season, he's battling his demons, right? And like, if the show basically ended by him killing himself and he basically overpowering that, even though he is killing himself, so there's that. I think that would have just cemented him as like one of the best TV show characters of all time. I think if he killed himself there, it would have put him with the likes of Walter White, of Tony Soprano, of Rick Grimes, of pick your TV show, of Jon Snow from Game of Thrones, like, or Tyrion Lannister. Like, I think it would put him in that realm. Now they're going to come out with another season, so I'm not saying he won't be there, but like, he is such a good character. Joe is such a good character.
Yeah, and my thing with it is like, I wish TV shows weren't as scared to kind of like you were telling me to watch Game of Thrones because they're not scared to kill off a lead character. And I wish more TV shows or movies were like that. Kind of like, bro, to bring in Fast and Furious, for example. And I know you're not going to watch the 10th one.
Nope.
But so when they didn't intend to make the second movie, and then when they did, then they made it without Vin Diesel, and then they made the third one, and that was supposed to be like a completely different series with new characters. But then people saw Vin Diesel at the end and were like, "Oh, they're gonna make another one." So then they killed Han at the end of the third one, which was perfect.
What's the third one?
The third one's Tokyo Drift.
The second one was Tokyo Drift.
Third one was Tokyo Drift. Second one was in Miami without Vin Diesel.
Oh, okay.
So they killed Han off in the end of the Tokyo Drift, and so when they brought him back in the fourth one, they're like, oh, they're doing some crazy shit in Tokyo. So then that was supposed to be his exit to Tokyo, and then he dies in Tokyo. Then in the fifth one, he's in the fifth one again.
Uh-huh.
So they still have yet to get to the point to when he's going to go to Tokyo and die. But then in the fifth one, the end of the fifth one, then they bring Michelle Rodriguez back after she died in the fourth one, because people were so upset that they killed her off. So then in the sixth one, they get her back, and then they had matched up Han and Giselle as a couple. And Giselle wasn't in the third one, so they had to kill her off before they killed off him. So then they killed her off, and then in the seventh one, they killed off Han. So then
this is stupid. Like,
exactly. So
now I will agree with something. Liz just texted me saying Fast 5 is the second best in the series. I 100% agree.
100% agree.
100% agree.
My third favorite is the fourth one. I like the fourth one a lot.
Which one was the fourth one again?
When Letty died.
They've just done so much. Like, I forget so much about what happened.
At the beginning of the seventh one, that's when they do the scene back to Tokyo when Han died. So in the sixth one, Giselle died. The beginning of 7, that's when Han died. And then in the 8th one, they didn't have Han, and they didn't have Brian Connor because he's obviously dead in real life. And then in the 9th one, they wanted Han back. The fans did, so they brought him back in such an unrealistic way, but cool. And then in the 10th one, at the end of 10 part 1, Giselle just happens to be alive coming out of a submarine. Like, come on. Like,
which one did they go to space?
That was 8. So I was opposed to them going to space, but I think that they actually consulted, like, with actual astronauts and stuff, because they did not
I don't care.
They did not make it, like, super unrealistic. Like, obviously it's still unrealistic as fuck.
You think?
But I'm saying, like, how they were to get there, like how they launched the car into space and whatnot. Dude, but I feel like the storyline that they have, the baseline storyline is fantastic. But then they just throw in these little niches that are just like, okay, come on, we don't need that. Like, you guys are not fucking professional fucking killers. You're drivers. You fucking steal cars and race
Yeah.
and steal gas from trucks. Like,
It's the arguably the dumbest movie franchise of all time. Like if you of series that have made multiple movies, like it like them and Transformers, it's like, oh dear God, like how did we get this far? Like Transformers first movie, oh, Fast and Furious first movie, oh, the last movie, you're like, what am I watching?
I haven't even seen the last Transformers movie.
I haven't either.
With the fucking apes and shit. I don't know.
Yeah, they're animals now, huh?
Bro, I don't know. I started disliking them after the third. The third one was already pretty bad.
They went downhill. They went downhill quick.
So the second one was freaking fantastic, dude. Especially with Megan Fox. But then, like, the third one, then Megan Fox wasn't back. But then after they got rid of Shia LaBeouf, or Shia LaBeouf didn't want to come back, Garbo after that. Garbo. Like, even though, like, you brought in Mark Wahlberg, cool. It was still just dog water.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, I think we can end there. I'm very, very, very hungry.
Yeah, thanks for coming to Miami Dolphins Syndicate movie Nation.
Talk. Hey, that's what separates us. We have some other stuff we want to talk about. That's what happens at the end of streams. Probably not going to be going live next week. Well, that might be subject to change, but as of now, probably not going to be going live. So next time you're seeing us live will be the preview for Week 1 against the Chargers. So that'll be the next time you'll be seeing us live. Of course, we're still going to make content, still make videos up until that point, everything that's going on, especially if Jonathan Taylor situation resolves itself or any sort of news that comes out. Still be doing that. So we appreciate y'all coming by. I think this was like the most we've ever had at one point. I think we got up to like 13 or 14 in here at one point. So we really appreciate all you guys that have been hanging out with us. William, Mighty, thanks for hanging out in the chat. Liz, what's up? You're a homie. Thank you for texting me because somehow you can't. Because I unsubscribed and went to comment, and I was like, wait a minute. After you said, I'm like, wait a minute. Is she unsubscribed? And I was gonna kill her. I'm like, wait a minute. You're not subscribed to my YouTube channel? Like, my heart. But then I'm like, wait a minute. Let me unsubscribe and try to comment, and I was still able to do so. So I have no idea why you can't comment, but I'm okay with you texting me instead. Works for me. But yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Subscribe, like, go tell somebody you love them.